Good morning, everyone. I'm Selva Kumar, a senior clinical perfusionist from Narayana Health Bangalore. I would like to thank ISET and AMSET for giving me an opportunity to present in this 59th International Conference, a virtual experience. My topic is retrospective analysis of LV venting in VA ECMO, our institutional experience. As we all know that VA ECMO provides both cardiopulmonary support in a stubborn cardiogenic shock, but it has some potential deleterious effects on the LV. VA ECMO increases the aortic root pressure and LV afterload, which can lead to LV distension or left atrial hypertension. From 2018, we have performed nearly 364 cases of VA ECMO, out of which 108 cases underwent surgical LA or LV venting on VA ECMO. The outcome of the insertion of surgical LA or LV venting on VA ECMO are analyzed retrospectively. So this is the pathophysiology and the consequences of left atrial hypertension. So it can happen either in a restrictive LV or in a compliant LV. If it happens in the restrictive LV, it can increase the LV EDP, which is left ventricular end diastolic pressure, which in turn will increase the myocardial wall stress. So thereby subendocardial ischemia will precipitate, and the patients might have poor coronary perfusion, and ventricular arrhythmias can also precipitate. In the compliant LV, this can increase the mitral regurgitation, which in turn can increase the pulmonary capillary wedge pressure, that will increase the RV afterload, and ARDS and pulmonary edema can precipitate. In some cases, pulmonary hemorrhage can also ensue. These are the usual indications for LV venting on VA ECMO. So non-echo, if they find the aortic valve closure is permanently seen, and because of that, the stasis can ensue. If left untreated, the clot can soon form in the LV cavity. So we have to intervene immediately and put a LV vent or an LA vent. And with severe AR, and in some cases where pulmonary edema secondary to LV overload, pulmonary hemorrhage, and evidence of elevated LV wall stress or severe or persistent LV dysfunction. These are the usual methods of venting on VA ECMO. They could be surgical or percutaneous. So the surgical options are either to put a vent in the PA or an LA appendage or an LV apex. These are usually followed. In the percutaneous, it could be a ballonatal septostomy or a transeptal cannulation or through an impella. In some cases, IABP is also tried. This slide shows the advantages and disadvantages of LV unloading strategies during VA ECMO. We will concentrate on the surgical LA or LV vent. So it's a direct LV vent, which is the advantage, and it provides reliable LV unloading. The major disadvantages, it requires surgical placement and removal. It impacts the apex of the heart or the LA roof, and blood stasis in the proximal aorta is still possible. The potential benefits of surgical LA or LV venting in VA ECMO are: it provides absolute myocardial rest, improves ECMO output, and provides faster recovery of stunned myocardium, delivers good end organ perfusion, it prevents LV clot formation, and relieves pulmonary congestion. It also avoids the incidence of North-South syndrome. In our clinical experience, surgical venting on VA ECMO, as I told you, was offered in 108 cases. In that, central VA ECMO with LA or LV venting was in 104 cases, peripheral VA ECMO with LV venting in 4 cases. Non-surgical venting on VA ECMO was on totally 4 cases. In that, 3 cases was with ballonatal septostomy with peripheral VA. In 1 case, we put a peripheral VA with impella. So this slide shows the setup of our VA ECMO with LV venting. So here you can appreciate, this is the RA line. It could be SVC and IVC. And here we have put an Y connector. So the access, additional access is either from an LA or from an LV. So this blood goes into the pump and into the oxygenator, gets oxygenated, and it is returned in the aorta or a femoral artery. So as I told you, there is a Y in the access limb, and the flow is monitored with ultrasonic flow sensor, and the flows are regulated with gated clamp. So this slide shows the picture taken at the time of LV vent insertion, and this X-ray shows how nicely the LV vent is positioned. This is the RA cannula, and this is the aortic cannula. This is a picture of a lady who was suffering from viral myocarditis, and we put her on central VA ECMO with LV vent. She was extubated after 48 hours. This is the same picture where you can appreciate there is a RA and an LV vent access lines, where we have put a gated clamp on the LV vent, and the flow sensor, which is a centrimac flow sensor, so which appreciates the flow which is coming from the LV vent. And this is the return line into the aorta. This is another case where we initiated venting in a VA ECMO, where we opted for neck cannulation and a long bend cannula on the LV apex is also. So in our experience from 2018, we have done 364 cases total VA ECMO. In that, venting was done in 108 cases, which is about 29.6%. And weaning of VA ECMO without LV vent, it is 10 out of 26, which is 38.4%. And weaning of VA ECMO with LV vent is 34 out of 82, which is 41.6%. Outcome of venting on VA ECMO. What we observed in the post-operative period, most of the cases are post-cardiotomy cases, and in that, for patients who underwent venting on ECMO, had lesser doses of inotropes, the hours of ventilation was lesser, and the requirement of CRRT or SLED was also lesser, and these patients survived for a longer days in the ICU when compared with the patients who are not offered vent on VA ECMO. So the short-term mortality is definitely seen better in the patients whom we offered vent on ECMO. This slide tells the other parameters. We will see here. We found that patients whom we opted went on VA ECMO, they had lesser incidence of mitral regurgitation, and we found when we tried to give a RAM study, we found that the LVO TBTI and the TAPSE was significantly better in the cases where we offered went on ECMO, and there was lesser incidence of arrhythmias, and the LV clot incidence was also less. So the LV venting on VA ECMO offers decreased inotropic requirement. As I told you, when we subjected RAM study, it offered better LVO TBTI and TAPSE, and lesser incidence of LV clot, less incidence of life-threatening arrhythmias, better weaning incidence with LV vent was observed, less requirement of ventilation, and better renal parameters, and less usage of CRRT. The ICU stay was longer as they survived longer. Some review of literature. This article shows that there are different strategies for LV unloading during VA ECMO, and they concluded that patients who opted for venting with VA ECMO showed lower mortality as compared to no unloading. This is another article by Abdul Rahman et al. So what they concluded is, if LV venting is initiated early within 12 hours, has got better success of weaning and reduced short-term mortality. I would like to conclude that LV distension is a dreadful complication of VA ECMO support, and left atrial hypertension, if left undetected and no intervention is done, the prognosis is usually grave, and early initiation of LV venting on ECMO has yielded better outcome. For an Indian scenario, we feel LA or LV venting along with RA drainage is the cost-effective and best strategy for managing LV distension. In future, small, affordable, and less intervening measures to prevent the LV might become a safe and routine practice in patients who are in VA. Thank you.